Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world. Coming up, with the Taliban now in power for more than 100 days, women and girls in Afghanistan are still waiting to hear officially if they can return to work and school. So how do we flip the script when it comes to gender violence and teach men and boys to act appropriately? I'll be talking shortly to Michael Conroy, the founder of Men at Work, a UK organisation which offers training to foster violence-free relationships. And Josephine Baker becomes the first woman of colour, the first American and also the first performing artist to be interred in the pantheon. But we begin in Afghanistan, where the Taliban has now been in power for more than 3 months. Women have just been banned from appearing in television dramas under new rules imposed by the Taliban government. Yet many are still waiting for their fate to be decided by Taliban officials. Will they be able to work, or will girls be able to go back to school? But most fear that the Taliban is simply putting off any key decisions, as our team on the ground report.
This is a girls' school in the center of Kabul, providing education for girls from primary to high school level. But since the Taliban took power, girls over 12 years old are not allowed to go to school in most of the country. For these first graders, the curriculum has not changed. This morning, after math, they're studying the Quran. The female high school teachers are idle. They come to work every day, although their students have been banned from the school.
We're upset that our classrooms are empty. We're heartbroken when we think about it. Our students are at home doing nothing. They could lose everything they've learned so far. It's heartbreaking.
In some provinces, local authorities allow girls to go to high school, but in Kabul, the Taliban have not yet given the green light. So informal classes are multiplying in the capital, like in this popular neighborhood. For security reasons, we blur the faces of the young girls and their improvised teacher, a brilliant 19-year-old student. 6 weeks ago, with the agreement of her parents, she formed this small class so that she and her friends will not fall behind in their education.
ترین دریای افغانستان در جریان دارد. طول آن 1400 کیلومتر اسموانی است. آفرین. فردایی را حفظش ازت پرسان میکنم. خب
میگه آیا پشت مکتب دق شدی؟
آیا در زندگی کس است که مکتب دوست نداشته باشه به خاطر ما دق شد. آدم بسیار پیش.
The girls meet every afternoon. Some are very young and could have gone back to public school, but they are too scared to do so.
I can't go because there are many Taliban on the way and they scare me. I don't cross them on the way here. That's why I come.
This is a secret school because apart from the parents of the girls who come here to study, nobody else knows what we do. The Taliban don't know anything. If they knew, I don't know how they would react, since some of these girls are not allowed to go to school.
At this local radio station, the women continue to work, but some adjustments have been made.
Now we have put this curtain and then this white tent-like thing, over our heads to cover the stairs, and in order to make this place totally segregated from the working space for our male colleagues. We got an authorization letter from the Ministry of Information and Culture. It was, something like a miracle.
Among its many shows, the radio station broadcast an education program. In that way, women and girls now sitting at home can continue to learn. The Ministry of Information has also approved a women's health and psychological support program, a ray of hope in Taliban country.
Now, each year on November 25th, the world marks the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Femicide continuing to be a global issue, and it's been made all the more worse by the pandemic. But as governments seek to toughen laws on gender violence, how do we in fact flip the script? In other words, stop asking women to take precautions to stay safe and instead place the onus on men and boys to end violent behaviour. Michael Conroy is the founder of Men at Work. It's a UK training company that offers programs to educators, social workers and others on how to challenge sexism and foster violence-free relationships with men and boys. He joins me now from the UK. Thank you so much for your time, Michael. What does your training actually offer and how effective is it?
The training offers professionals who work with boys and young men in a range of different contexts, whether that be schools, colleges, social work, a whole range of situations, possibly even sports teams as well. It gives them confidence to have difficult conversations or conversations about difficult subjects, actually, such as, pornography, about objectification, about the desire to control your partner. And it digs deep into the cultural values that shape these ways of seeing the world. And it asks a lot of questions of the facilitators as well, because I think it's really important that if we deliver programs with boys and young men, whether we are adult men, that we ask ourselves questions and that we are impacted by the work as well. It's not a hypodermic transmission model, if you like.
Now, with the men that you train, when does the penny actually drop with them about how it's for men to end this epidemic of violence?
So it's very difficult scientifically to say that after 3 weeks, everybody will realise X. But generally speaking, anecdotally and qualitatively, difficult word to say, the feedback is that thinking is changed and decisions are changed after time. And I've met quite a few of the young men who I've delivered programs to personally who've attested to that. But also the professionals that I train say that their own thinking has shifted in the course of the training. For example, they won't use phrases like man up or grow a pair or be a man or be the man of the house. They've come to realise the implications of those phrases, which seem very natural and harmless and typical and normal. But in the course of the programme and the training, we dig deep at the roots of these phrases and we understand that actually they mean something which is quite negative.
Now, Michael, the UK has witnessed some horrific murders of women recently, such as the killing of Sarah Everard by a serving member of the London Metropolitan Police, and then the tale of the two sisters who were also murdered, but whose photos of their dead bodies were shared by two police officers on a WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Given the public reaction to what occurred, do you think there's a shift in attitudes occurring now in Britain?
So I think what we've had in England is almost wave after wave of very high-profile cases and campaigns that in response to those cases. And it does seem that there is something of a change in the air, and perhaps that's been helped, certainly in terms of schools, by the body which is responsible for inspecting the efficacy of schools, which in England is Ofsted. They have taken up the task of checking whether schools are doing work to prevent sexism, to challenge sexism, and whether if a young person or a young girl specifically is sexually assaulted or harassed in school or around the school context, if the reporting system is robust, because it seems that is not the case. So from lots of different angles and in different perspectives, more and more people are talking about the need for young men and for boys to be engaged in very constructive work, but professionals just don't have the tools or the vocabulary in a lot of cases. And that's the space that I think I recognise and I wanted to be active in. And so I set up Men at Work.
Michael Conroy, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And here in Paris, Josephine Baker is to become the first American, the first woman of colour and the first ever performing artist to be interred in the Pantheon. The mausoleum houses the remains of the most distinguished French citizens. Yet this is happening as immigration and racism continue to dominate French politics as the country heads towards a presidential election. Baker herself, however, remaining an inspirational figure, as Olivia Salazar-Winspear reports.
She had 2 loves, 2 countries, and 1 incredible life. Her story is at the centre of the play Josephine B, which shows how a little girl from a poor family in Missouri went on to become an international star and a brave, independent woman.
Josephine Baker embodied freedom. She was provocative, beautiful, and funny.
She was also a woman of convictions. By 1940, the music hall star had conquered French audiences, but she wanted to help liberate them too.
Je faisais de la résistance parce que j'avais qu'une seule chose en tête, c'est-à-dire d'aider la France.
She was decorated for her efforts and took those medals all the way to Washington, where she joined another struggle, marching for civil rights in the footsteps of Martin Luther King. At the same time, her fight against racism continued back in France at her home in the Dordogne, surrounded by her family, made up of children adopted from different countries around the world.
Et à côté de Jean-Claude, qui est
Brahim.
Il vient d'où?
D'Algérie.
50 years later, Brahim remembers an unconventional but loving childhood. He was the 7th of Josephine Baker's 12 children, who she called her rainbow tribe.
We were a multi-ethnic, multicultural family, but we were all brought up together in the same way to show the whole world that when you raise young children together, a truly universal sense of fraternity is possible. It's not just a utopian dream.
Committed to her own utopia and to freeing France, Josephine Baker's achievements are now carved in stone in the Pantheon.
And that's it for now. You can also connect with us via our Facebook page, that of course being France24.51%, or do send us a tweet at _51%. So until our next show, bye for now.